Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, yeah, I was debating about what exactly to talk about today, and then I get an anonymous message in my inbox. I'm not sure if this is the email address I had was correct, but the name is from Anonymous. So Anonymous emailed me. I feel privileged. It says, "Hi Tom, I think you've addressed these issues in past YouTube videos, but some important info I'm sure you are unaware of was made available in the latest Linux Unplugged by Jupiter Broadcasting, episode 249. The main segment dealing with it starts at 47 minutes and 45 seconds, but some key points mentioned by the Ubuntu Mate lead developers are from 55 to 38. They concern what disabling the ubuntu-report package and PopCon lead to eventually, so would appreciate you listening and doing a follow-up video to advise your viewers not to disable the things. Regards, Anon. P.S. I think the video they're referring to is this recent one, not one of yours, from Quidsup. And actually, based on the context, they're not referring to the video he linked. I'm going to show you the video I think they're going to link. But that kind of gave me the idea what we're going to talk about today. So I actually titled this video the Clickbait video on Ubuntu spyware. Okay, so we're going to kind of talk about this a little bit, and first and foremost, no, I don't believe Ubuntu is spyware specifically, but Ubuntu is engaging in data collection, and there are very good reasons Quidsup and myself and several other people have serious concerns, and the spirit of the video by Jupiter Broadcasting is... oh, Lord. It was a very fun academic challenge to spot how many logical fallacies you could actually find. So we're actually going to go through some of that video. We're going to look at Quidsup's video and kind of talk about what is the real issue. So that is what is ahead. Hey, I forgot to set my comment box correctly. Let me get that fixed up. There we are. Now our comment box is fixed. All right, so greetings, everybody. Jesse Lawson, hello there. I hope you're back, Jesse. Quidsup, he did leave us a comment. Not going to be here for the live show. Yes, I will show you his comment if I remember. Basically, you know, Quidsup's motivation is not clickbaity videos to get views and money. That is exactly what Jupiter Broadcasting are accusing Quidsup of, and that is in no way the reality. He is a person that simply says, I don't want companies tracking me. I agree. In fact, you can't see it, but the tagline on my let me see if I can do that if it doesn't reveal any data. I think it does. I think this is safe. This is my personal cloud account. You'll see my tagline at the bottom. I'm not sure if the tagline's cut off at the bottom or not, but the tagline at the bottom says Tom's Private Cloud, getting big tech out of my life. And that's my goal too. I don't want all of these companies collecting data. We did a very good job for a very long time without a lot of companies collecting data. And so that is certainly what motivates me to talk about what I'm talking about. That's what motivates Quidsup. Of course, he has the no track application, which is kind of like the Pi-hole application where you can I start talking, Kitty wants to come up. I got headphones on today, so I gotta be a little bit more careful. All right. Hello, people. All right. And so that's kind of the motivations we have is to take an active role in preventing data collection, because, you know, we've made it this far without a lot of this. I don't want to jump too far ahead of myself, so we'll get into those in a little bit. I'm gay as heck. Greetings. Interesting name. You don't even need to explain why you don't need to be tracked. I really hate the moralism they use to bait people in. They claim you owe your data to FOSS projects to improve them. And yes, if you listen to this clip from Jupiter Broadcasting, that's exactly what they seem to say. I don't know. Maybe it's these. I don't follow them much. Maybe it's these types of videos is why they seem to be bleeding subscribers. They're certainly not growing. At the same time, they are doing less than Apple or Google are doing to protect the telemetry they gather. Yeah, we'll kind of talk about this a little bit. And let's see, Apple products and Google, Chrome, and Chromium all have different privacy algorithms implemented to preserve some of the user's privacy and anonymize the data set. So we'll get into some of that, I think. Hello, Brandon. How are you? Libre Secure, greetings. JT, hello there. I think that my system is not working because according to my system, our average view duration is sitting here at 0 and there is no viewers right now. YouTube is so screwed up these days. Oh boy. Even Linux Gamer is jumping ship with Ubuntu. Maybe address legitimate concerns would be better. Yeah? Then that's the thing, is they did not do a single thing to address legitimate concerns. In fact, listening to this Jupiter broadcasting thing is like listening to a Fox newscast. You just get all of these voices talking over each other like and it's all a marketing ploy to get you to believe with what they're saying. It's a measure of what is it I'm trying to say? It's kind of a measure of like peer pressure is kind of what it is. Arch Design's unsubbed from them. I'm not saying to unsub from them, but I mean, they want a dialogue. Here's my dialogue. If they want to talk further, they can contact me. Brendan says meow. Meow. Oh, the kitty mug should be there. Yeah, I do have a kitty mug at shop.switchlinux.com. If you want to get a mug with this cute little kitty on it, you can pick one of those up. Greetings. How are you? Cat always starts out sleeping. Yep. Actually, the title is a clickbait video about Ubuntu data collection. Yes. I did change up the banner a little bit, but that's okay. Shows 25 viewers on this end. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and refresh my page over here. Yeah, YouTube's just been doing a lot of weird stuff lately. All right, let's see. What am I getting? It's sitting here getting, okay, it got the stream status. It is not showing me anything. The entire analytics dashboard is completely dead, so I can't tell how well we're doing. Greetings, Political Monkey. How are you? Waterfox came out with an update, 56.1 to 56.2. That's good to know. Yeah, this is funny. I'm not getting any stats. So throw it in the comments if things start to crash and burn, because I can't see nothing on my end. Leave a super chat when my credit card was hacked. Ew. Well, thank you anyway, and I hope you get that squared away. Let's try refreshing this one more time. I kind of like to see the stats. It's like YouTube spends all this time fixing stuff that's not broken, and then they add all this other junk, and then they can't fix the things that are. I don't know. Greetings, King of Games. How are you? Thanks for the stream. No problem, man. All right, let's go ahead and jump on into some of this. First, Quidsup mentioned here in the comment that he left that it turns out that 2 weeks prior to him releasing his video, How To Geek actually released an article about how to stop Ubuntu from collecting data. So here's how to opt out of the system informatics. You can click the show first report to see what data is sent. According to Canonical's Will Hook, the data is designed to help Ubuntu learn about how many users it has and what features they use. And this is one of the things that Quidsup had pointed out in his video, is that even if you opt out of data collection, they still collect the data, the fact that you opted out. So regardless, it still sends something. Of course, the report it's not a super bad report. It does tell essentially the processor you're using. In fact, they actually cut that out. Above this line here, which kind of tells you your architecture, is actually details about your processor. It has here how much RAM, the partitions, your screen resolution, screen frequency, auto login patch. And some people might look at this and go, well, what's the big deal? What is, why is everyone all in a ruckus about all this? But the reality of this is that this produces, number one, it starts the slippery slope of more data collection. And when people are comfortable with this, what if they look at this and go, well, we really need to know more about the system, so we're going to start grabbing more and more. Number two is Can this data be intercepted? Number 3 is this is fingerprint data that some people legitimately cannot leave out. And this is one of the challenges in the Linux community, is that there are a whole lot of people doing geeky Linuxy stuff that have no concept of how the real world works. And maybe that's part of the reason why Linux doesn't grow as fast as it could grow. Because I switched to Linux not because I'm a tinkerer in my spare time, but because I had a job to do when Windows was no longer viable for me. And that's kind of what I wanted to do. And so I am concerned with, can I get things done in an appropriate way? And one of the jobs that I had before is working with activist groups. And an activist group cannot have anything about their systems leaking anywhere. And so a lot of them use Linux for the privacy, for the security. And this begins that slippery slope of data collection. And so what we're kind of do is, and walk through this. So here's, how to actually do things, send report, no, all this kind of stuff. You can read the how-to geek article. I just searched for, Ubuntu data collection on their main form, and we kind of went in from there. Currently on the hinge, trying out Red Core, concerned because I know nothing about Gen 2. I have it squared away, just waiting for the new card. Alright. Toss can't get a live stream working at 6. Chat only. Huh. I hope we're working. Maybe I should actually boot up this in another window, just so I can monitor it from time to time. I'm going to do that. I'm going to, pardon me while I look to the side for a few minutes. I'm just going to go ahead and boot this live chat up so I can make sure. But yeah. It does say live now. It does say 31 are watching. And if you're on late, everything in the analytics dashboard is completely broken right now. So I'm just going to leave a view up on the other computer over there so I can peek over there every now and again. Let's see. Just boycott Ubuntu, all of its derivatives until it's removed. It's really simple. Anyone using Ubuntu at this point is consenting. Yep. Actually, I do have Ubuntu on the computer over here. It's I had it for a specific build of doing an operating system, but I found out I couldn't, and I just have not gotten a chance to get the data off it yet. Maybe I'll just do that tonight. Just wipe it. I'm gonna install Debian on it. Just be done with it, because I'm done. I'm done with Ubuntu. Until they come back and say, okay, this was a bad idea, and come out and fess up to it, then that's the thing. You worked for Antifa? No, I did not work for Antifa. I worked with another group. I'm not going to mention their names just because, security, privacy, and all that kind of fun stuff. Truly a shame. The community is all against data collection, is now collecting data. Yep. Just here for the clickbait. LRL. Good. Yep. Got to get here for the clickbait. Are you asking him if he's an Antifa ally? And I am not. I'm not an Antifa. That is not the group specifically I worked with. Super clickbait. Yep. More Ubuntu out there, unlike Windows side. And the good thing is Linux Mint has come out and said, no, we are not including any of that kind of stuff in theirs. And that's going to be one of the points I address later on. So let's go ahead and jump into this. So this is, of course, the Linux Unplugged. And we're gonna do a couple little clips on this. Should we start hashing bets now? Or are they gonna do a copyright claim or something like this? We're not playing large sections. I'm going to play, a couple 30-second clips and do that. That should perfectly fulfill the requirements for fair use. And so, disclaimer on that. We are going to be doing a review analysis. Now, first and foremost is that this thing is full of a few things. Number one is the marketing approach that utilizes peer pressure to have a whole lot of people saying things and kind of talking over each other. Literally, like I said at the beginning of the show here, this is like watching a Fox News broadcast. Whoa! Stats just showed up. Woohoo! All right, so what we're kind of seeing over here is and you'll hear it, is that they're kind of talking over each other. It's just, there's not a dissenting point. There is no concept. There is no discussion. There's no debate. There's no back and forth. It's just, these guys are wrong. They're talking about Quidsup. Now, the specific video they're actually talking about, at least they are talking about as of minute 55 minutes. Where is it? Starting in 55 minutes and 33 seconds into this Linux Unplugged video, they talk about another video without actually naming it. The video they're talking about is this one by Quidsup. which is called How to Disable Data Collection Services in Ubuntu 18.4. And they start laughing at this guy and going, oh, he's so guy. And the most hilarious thing to point out is they say, you know, we did something, some guy on YouTube. Okay, let's talk about this some guy on YouTube. Okay, Quidsup has 45,000 subs. Jupiter Broadcasting has 50. I'm not going to pull up their Social Blade stats, but Quidsup is growing. Jupiter Broadcast is dying. Quidsup is just not just some guy on YouTube. Okay, it's really funny when they try and throw that around, but we'll get to that when you hear it. So we're just going to play a couple clips over here, and I'm going to stop and talk about various things. So first and foremost, they start out with a logical fallacy that is actually generally called a hasty generalization. So we're going to be starting at 47 minutes and 38 seconds, and we're going to play for, I don't know, maybe 20 seconds or so. So let me know if the audio's good or not good, whatever else.
Of 1804, we've seen a disappointing trend of clickbait to try to make, or manufacture, you might say, some drama around the, quote, data collection services in Ubuntu 18.04. And even the name is sort of...
Okay, so do you see how they're like it? That's called a hasty generalization in the terms of logical fallacies and argumentation. They're trying to throw out, or maybe it could actually be a straw man. It's kind of iffy which exact logical fallacy, but they're saying all of these things are just clickbaity because of all this. No. We are getting more of these videos now within the last month because of the whole Facebook stuff, and people are actually waking up and realizing that giving up all this data is not a good thing, and it's starting to irritate people, okay? But myself, Quidsup, and numerous other people have been talking about this stuff for a long time. One of the first videos I did, the very first tinfoil hat time on this channel, I have like 60 of them now. There's been, I mean, it was filmed 2 years ago, is why data collection forced me to leave Windows. I've been beating this drum for a while. Okay, and this is not some clickbaity thing about data collection, and this is not some issue. It's just like, even that's not even right. And they go on that section and go, well, you know, it's all about, you know, they talk about it's all about, you know, it's not even really data collection. They're just getting some data to help them. Let's talk about definitions. Data collection means you're collecting data. Yes, Ubuntu is collecting data. Now, is Ubuntu spyware like I have in my title down there? No. Ubuntu is not spyware. Spyware generally it's a lot more malicious. It's not necessarily upfront, but Ubuntu is collecting data. That's why the title on the video is a clickbait video about Ubuntu data collection. And so that's kind of what we're going to do. So we're going to jump ahead to 48:55, and we're going to play a little section here. Now, first and foremost, they're trying to cast aspersions. Ooh, the data collection. No, so listen to this clip here. This is about a 9-second clip.
But the reality is, if you're deploying a large-scale operating system, you have to have some insights into your customer base. You have to.
You want that feedback cycle, yeah.
Okay, now do you hear how the guy keeps on coming in? It's like, if you've ever seen the movie Boys in the Hood, you know, the father, played by Lawrence Fishburne, comes in. What are you, all Amos and Annie? He steps in and he spetches? Okay, that's kind of the thing. Is there is no disagreement. They're just, one guy says something and everyone else just, yeah, okay or not. Okay, that's kind of what we're seeing. But let's focus on what they said. They said, anytime you're deploying an operating system, you need to know the user base. Guys, this is the first time Ubuntu did this. I would say so far it's been a fairly successful distribution. So apparently that's not true. Apparently that's not true at all. It just isn't true. Because we have had a lot of operating systems successful without data collection. Okay? Windows just started collecting data. I'm not sure about Apple. Linux Mint, I argue that Linux Mint works a whole lot better than Ubuntu on any given piece of hardware. Linux Mint Cinnamon, they have a very strong stance against data collection. They will not collect data. Even when they're based on Ubuntu 18, they will not be collecting data. Those packages will be removed. So no, you do not need to collect data for your user base, to understand your user base, to push it out. You don't. You don't need that. All right, let's see. We're gonna pick up right here. We're gonna play, looks 6-second clip. Let's look at some of the comments real quick. There's a lot of comments coming in, so I'm gonna try and read some of the comments as we're going through. Let's see. Use sudo apt purge to remove popularity contest. I think there's more there. Okay, I missed a few more. Are you asking him if he? Okay. When using Ubuntu as what? You think we should be done? I hear Kubuntu doesn't have the data collection. I have no idea. Anybody use Kubuntu and can verify that? Let us know. First thing I did upon installing Ubuntu 18.04, installed Synaptic Package Manager. Then I used that to completely remove popularity contest. Yep. Boycotting Ubuntu seems like a bit of an overreaction. Some parts of data collection are definitely not cool. Most of the websites you've ever been to for more than 5 seconds probably know more about you than Canonical does. Correct. And the difference is, though, Dylan, is that I have the choice not to go to the website, but if it's on my operating system, now I have bigger problems. So that's kind of where we get. But of course, the good thing about Linux is I don't have to pick Ubuntu. Linux Mint will always be Benjamin's favorite. Very good. Use sudo apt-get purge to remove popularity contest. How bad can it be? Dang, Ubuntu is sucking right now. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, why is it that once these operating systems start putting in data collection, they start to suck more and more? I mean, really, Ubuntu was great in 16. It seems to be full of bugs in 18. Let's see. You think all of the other distros that won't rely on telemetry collection, their devs seem to manage with fixing issues without crying. Yeah. And that's the thing. Silent reboot. That's the issue I was just addressing. I don't see any personal information in the report. I went ahead and manually sent the report in Ubuntu, which doesn't send a report by default. Does the word canonical have a meaning? If so, is there an antonym? We should make nonprofit and call it the antonym of canonical and name the distro togetherness in another language. Greetings, Asylum Khan. How are you? Ubuntu is not collecting personal data. You cannot be identified. Actually, Professor, there is a little bit of information you can. If you are using popularity contest, you can be identified because they do collect a piece of data that is very specific to your computer. There has to be a randomly generated serial number tied to your computer, and that is how they use it. Now, that's only with popularity contest, which is installed by default but not activated. And they say in this video, you know, we have no plans to activate it. Well, why do you have it installed? There's a good question. Ubuntu does not include ubuntu-report, only vanilla Ubuntu and Ubuntu Mate. Okay. Are you in live chat or top chat? I am in top chat right now. I'm going to get to the bottom here. I will look into moving that. Okay. Greetings, Spin Viking. How are you? They use the data to improve user experience. Here's the thing, Salem. We are arguing they don't need to use the data. You want to improve user experience? Check the forums. There are tons of other ways to get it without this. That is the talking point. You have been beat into your head. The very thing these guys are saying we're doing is been beat into your head. It's to improve a better user experience. No, it's not. No, it's not. You do not need to collect data to produce a better user experience. You have to have ways for people to talk about it. Because in reality, you really only hear complaints, and you hear complaints if you have a way to contact them. So set up a user forum and actually monitor it. That's all the data collection you need to do. My cat thinks you're a good man. All right. Not only that, you do not need to collect data, but it hurts you in the long run. Profit from it is extremely small. Windows has been collecting data. I mean, there's obviously been some small amount of data, but, you know, Windows 10 was kind of crazy. Only Ubuntu Vanilla and Mate on the report. You can disable Windows 10 telemetry. No, you cannot disable Windows 10 telemetry. You absolutely cannot. The only exception is if you are in a business, an enterprise version through group policies, you can disable some of it. But that is about the extent. It's more like Ubuntu is all plugged up and not unplugged. It doesn't give them a free pass just because there's less evil. Yep. All right, let's go ahead and jump on to the next section. I'm going to pause my comments there. So here we're going to be like 6 seconds, I think. Let's see.
And so there's a line to be walked here. And I think Canonical has walked it really well because they could have gone further than they did. Essentially,
okay, they could have gone further than they did. That is what I'm saying is a problem. That's what Quidsups are saying is a problem. This is what we're worried about. Because when you start to integrate even this small benign amount of data collection, and everyone's used to that, the next step, they're going to look at this data. If it's all about user experience, they're going, oh man, we got the processor, we got this. You know what we really need to know to fix this problem? We really need the graphics card now. And so now they're going to put in the thing to pull the graphics card. They go, man, you know, we really kind of need to know what is the basic system configuration. So let's go ahead and do that. And eventually what's going to happen is it's a slippery slope that any amount of data collection is problematic. Now, and the biggest problematic, of course, is that it is an opt-out system. If it were opt-in, we wouldn't have nearly as much concern. But it is opt-out. And even if you opt out, data is still sent. It is just data that says he opted out. And we'll get into that a little bit more. Now, what about this report? Because people are saying, well, it's a benign amount of things. While it is currently, number one, we're on that slippery slope I just talked about. That's certainly one issue. But the second issue is that there are legitimately people who cannot have even that information leaked out. Okay, we need to recognize that, and that's why I said at the beginning that there are people who are disconnected from the reality of how people use computers, particularly in the free and open source community, in the Linux community, because a lot of the Linux development is driven by people who are just tinkering with computers, and they are disconnected from how people need to use those computers, particularly in a secure environment. That's why distros like Tails have done a very good job of making sure that the footprint reported is identical across the thing. So as long as you don't change anything in the system configuration of Tails, somebody can see you're on Tails, but they can't see anything beyond that because Tails works to make sure the fingerprint is identical for everybody. And that's one of the things that we're worried about here. And that's what's problematic with popularity contests. That's what's problematic with the basic Ubuntu data collection. It's not a bad data at this point. So far, right now, it collects processor, screen resolution, whether you installed minimum or maximum install. If you used auto login, it collects the time zone, the installation media. It collects information if you downloaded updates during the install. And that's in and of itself another thing. If you're downloading updates, we know they're not connecting your IP address to this report, but are they collecting an IP address with which IP addresses access the repo to download updates? Because if you have those two simultaneously, you could actually, and I don't know, you could actually look at the timestamp logs and piece together which systems could possibly be which systems. Very possible. I don't think they're doing that, but it is a possibility. And when this type of stuff, the biggest problem with data collection is once data gets out, it's out. There is no putting that cat back in that bag. And the cat's over there like, hey, what'd you say about me? Also, I'll note that if you do decline to send data, they still ping Ubuntu servers saying you are opting not to send data. Which they say, well, again, we'll get in that a little bit more later. Now, Ubuntu says they do not store the IP address. And I don't have any evidence to the contrary to that. So we're going to go ahead and stick with that. So next part is at 5043. Guess we'll start at 5041. Read a few more comments here. Oh boy, there's a lot of comments here. Yeah, by disconnecting the internet. You can ask Windows 10 in a polite way to disable telemetry, and if you trust it, it does. Website data collection is worse because it allows people to associate with multiple websites and build a profile. Correct. And that is why it's important to block, to block advertising and things like that. Cortana, please give me some privacy. They're listening to their dedicated user base. They would have done so. They long since made the decision and have yet to turn back regardless of what they say about it. And if she says, okay, Calmer, you need to trust her. They get your Mac ID. I don't know if Ubuntu gets your Mac ID. I don't recall seeing that, but they might. Use Arch distros. None of those collect data. Specific data does not mean personally identifiable data. Nobody can associate you with the record on Ubuntu servers unless they have access to your computer. And that's part of the concern. That is part of the concern. I don't have a problem with the idea of Ubuntu collecting data, but I do have some issues with the way they're doing it. Yes. If it is opt-out, in fact, there is a fascinating quote we're going to hear from one of the devs on that a little bit later here. That is a freaky thing. But yeah, if it were opt-in, I wouldn't care. Wouldn't care at all. I might even submit some. Love Arch for personal and business, but not for my clients to migrate to Linux. Yep. Do you upgrade regularly or use Manjaro or something? Me personally? Well, that depends on which computer I'm talking about. Data they collect can be used to improve the experience and cannot be used for anything else. Benefit of the doubt. No, I'm not going to do benefit of the doubt when you're doing an opt-out system that collects any amount of user data. And I disagree with the narrative of using the data to improve experience. That's what everybody says, and I don't believe it on any of them. You know, if Apple was really collecting data to improve user experience, then it wouldn't have taken 37,000 posts on their forums that they never read to actually do something about the wireless issue. If I manually turned one particular app off of cellular data to make sure that that app never accesses cellular data, I wouldn't get a pop-up notification about turning on cellular data every time I load it, which was a problem over 3 different versions of iOS. 99% of users don't use the forum, but they will if there's a problem. That's the whole issue. People, when you're looking at voluntarily submitted data, you get an overwhelming bias toward the negative because people tend to only support the problems. If you're talking about better user experience, that's the only data you need. What happens to Patrick's Cup of Linux? I don't know. Greetings, Kitson. How are you? For me, we're walking a fine line, but I haven't crossed it yet. Yeah, but we're concerned. Some of us are concerned we're about to walk it, and that's kind of part of the problem. There's no indication Ubuntu will ever cross the line, but there's no indication that they won't, and that's why we want them to back off, because they're free and open source software and easy to replace. That's kind of what we're talking about. I don't really buy the opt-out argument, not because I don't think it should be opt-in, but because the welcome screen makes it pretty obvious what is being sent. Except it doesn't make it obvious that data is sent either way. That is kind of part of the challenge. Aside from popcorn, that should be removed. If that were removed and it didn't tell Canonical you opted out, I'd be perfectly fine with this. Yep, probably. Switch to your content provider on YouTube. There's not much Google doesn't know about you. Well, Spin Viking, you'd actually be surprised. Because it's the way you use things. It's the way you use things. In fact, when I've downloaded Google data, they have surprisingly little. Why is it bad that someone can associate your computer with a record on a Ubuntu server? See, this is the problem, Professor, that the devs behind this can't understand. Because it is called a fingerprint, and there are people in the world, like, for example, activists, whistleblowers, things like that. There are people aggressively trying to figure out who these people are. And any amount of little bit of leaked data can unmask these people. And it's critical that they are not unmasked. It's critical. That's why it's important. That's why if you want to collect some data on an opt-in basis, that's fine. But the opt-out is problematic. It is, we'll get sad if we need to start running a list of distros. Yep. Getting data is bad. Yep. Okay, it's actually very true. I heard a story about a study to keep World War II planes in the air, and they started by only looking at planes that came back and where they were being shot. The rest of us give data and the paranoid can go elsewhere. Yes, and that's exactly what our argument is. This is Linux, and that's kind of thing. If opting out were really truly opting out, no data would be sent, this wouldn't nearly be the problem. Yeah. All right, we're going to go ahead and stop there, and we're going to jump on back to the video. Okay, yeah, so this, we're going to, let's see. Let's go ahead and let the hysteria begin.
The total installs are happening.
But that doesn't stop people from attempting to generate controversy, because that generates clicks and views and ad dollars. And if you look at the comments on a couple of these different YouTube videos, people are all in on this stuff. They're all in on it because they are just looking at that word data collection and they're freaking out. And the problem is that it actually handicaps Canonical's ability to really figure out what's popular. Like, for example,
Okay, and then they talk about, you know, who's using 32-bit processors and whatever. Okay, so there's their motive. They are assuming that my motive and Quidsup's motive, everybody's motive talking about this. They're just assuming everybody's motive talking about this is just clickbaity videos to make money and blah, 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 blah. That's the entire thing that they're thinking about. That's the only thing that they're thinking about. They have no concept that this is actually a legitimate concern for people. And that is disturbing to the extreme. That they will not sit down and have a conversation. In fact, they even say in here, I think we have it listed in one of our things, to say that, you know, why aren't we having a discussion? Well, you apparently don't want to have a discussion. Probably much like I don't really want to have a discussion. We're all made up in our own minds, but I'm coming from an actual, practical, real user who has worked in an industry that must remain private. That is what we're talking about. And so their argument here, their entire straw man argument, this is called a straw man, they have set up that all of the controversy is just being pushed so that people can get clicks, views, and ad revenue. That's their entire thing. And now they're going to spend their next 20 minutes beating that scarecrow to death. That is why it's called a straw man argument. You set up what you think your argument is, and then you spend all this time beating it down. Well, meanwhile, the real issue over here is unscathed, and they don't want to talk about the real issue. And so that's kind of where we're going. Let's go ahead and skip past that part there. Let's go over here. Of course, I encourage you to listen to all of this. I'm not going to play all of it for obvious reasons. But this is an interesting part here. All right. So this is about, what, 40 second clip here.
Sampled in that user base.
Producer Michael responded on one of the videos. He said, I completely disagree with this video being made because none of the collection is a negative thing. The initial data collection of ubuntu-report, it's ubuntu-report, by the way, when you choose not to send info, only sends that you chose not to send info. The removal of the package merely to not tell them actually skews the data because it lowers the amount of people who will be continued and counted as not participating. So these videos are advising uninstall this package. So that way you don't have anything ever sent to them. Never even a ping.
Wow.
I love that. Wow. Okay. So you get their argument here, and their argument here is that it's that getting rid of ubuntu-report, which is what Quidsup is recommending you do and what How To Geek is recommending you do, getting rid of that, actually I don't think the How To Geek did that, but removing ubuntu-report prevents Ubuntu from knowing the number of people that are actively using the operating system. So let's go right back to the very first comment that we said. Ubuntu has gone this far without collecting the data. And this is probably one of the worst versions that they've had in the terms of modern Linux. Linux Mint actively does not collect that type of data. It seems to work fine. Arch distros seem to work fine. Manjaro distros seem to work fine. Solus seems to work fine for most people. I mean, Fedora seems to work fine for most people. And these distros, Debian, these distros are not collecting all of this data. It is a fallacy that you have to report this data. And they're saying, oh, this is going to bias these statistics because some people choose not to let us know that they're using it. Yeah. We want to not let you know we're using it. Because it's Linux. Okay, that's kind of the point. And again, just jump ship and go to another distro, I guess, is the best option. So that's kind of the case there. I think I was going to jump ahead just a couple seconds, actually. I'll do starting at 26. Okay, from what I've heard, he stopped making YouTube videos back in 2015 because of Hurricane Matthew. Haven't heard much about it since. Fingerprint turns into a handprint. Nobody can be unmasked by this. You'd be surprised who can be unmasked by this. Okay, if you watch the fascinating story, of course, the guy may or may not have been a criminal, depending on where you sit, but the Dread Pirate Roberts for the Silk Road, okay? That guy, they were part of the identification of who he was is the fact he was using Ubuntu. That was part of their computer forensics. If you think that that data cannot unmask you, you need to study computer forensics. It is a field. Study it. Spend some time researching computer forensics and unmasking somebody. That's what the concern is. I'm an activist in my country too, and I was hacked many times in the old days of Windows. That's what brings me to Linux. No data should be sent from your OS. If you want to send it, do it actively. Yep, I agree. This isn't about you being hacked. It's about Ubuntu being hacked. But obviously that can't happen. Yes, it can. The moment you start saying a system, a company, a place, a database can't be hacked, dude, look for the hackers. In fact, the mere fact you'd even say that, that just titillates the bone in Anonymous. They just start looking. I mean, that's exactly what happened to Ashley Madison. I mean, remember that site? You know, they're like, yeah, pay us next for $10,000. We'll make sure all your logs disappear. Anonymous is like, I wonder if that's true. Nope, not true. Okay. I mean, that's the thing, is that this data can be used. The fact that it's collected at all is problematic. So you send data on the internet regardless of the method you need. You two need to assume it's public data. Yes. Can we put the offending data collection IPs in host deny, block them at the router too? That could prevent updates. We'll actually dive into that one a little bit more later because that actually comes up. I feel like the community as a whole is overestimating their influence over Ubuntu. Desktop Ubuntu is mostly used by organizations and businesses, and Canonical recognizes this. Yeah, okay, then let's just abandon it. Sticking to the bottom line because that's what brings in the profits. Did they send your MAC or IP address? Well, they have to send an IP address, although they say they don't collect it, which is very possible. Now, popularity contest, it is collected, but it's wiped once a week. So the database of IP addresses, but that doesn't really matter. My IP address can change, but you know what doesn't? The machine identifier doesn't change. Change your IP all you want. They can still identify your individual computer with popularity contest because of the unique identifier that has to be there to make it work. Tom, you need to mention Elementary OS. Elementary OS. Okay, I mentioned it. I just didn't mention it. It ran across my mind. I haven't mentioned it because I don't know what the current status is on all this stuff. Oh, they have taken a stance against data collection. Okay, good. All right, let's go ahead and let's see. Next clip section we're starting. So we got about, I don't know. This is one of my favorite little clips. This is from 5226 to 5232. This is one of my favorites, I think.
To know how unpopular this is.
Right.
So producer Michael goes on. If you wanted them to know you dislike it, then you have to send them the info that you opted out.
Okay. If you don't like it, you have to send them data that you've opted out. Hey, Ubuntu, Canonical, this is my video saying I don't like it. No, I'm not telling my PC to send you something. That is so dualistic in mindset. Oh, if to let Canonical know you don't want to collect that data, you have to send them data that you've opted out. Shoot actively, but it's opt out. Like Windows, I don't like automatic telemetry. Even if you accept it, you don't know what's there. If you hack Ubuntu servers, you still have no idea who uses Ubuntu. They can't associate a human with the data. That is incorrect. There are ways to do it. You would be completely surprised. Greetings, Anna Rita. Always preferred Ubuntu-based distros to Ubuntu itself. Peppermint, Zorin, LXLE. How dare them use my bandwidth. Okay, yeah, okay, so here's why. Here's why that can expose an individual. So I install Ubuntu on my system because I start working on, I'm a new employee at my new activist group, and I'm told, okay, you got to wipe Windows off your computer and use Linux, doesn't matter which distro. You're like, okay, I'll use Ubuntu because it's a new one. So boom, get your new laptop, you set the guy up, and you're like, okay, whatever, because you did exactly what they say later, you know, it's opt out, and you just close the screen without actually clicking a button, so it automatically says it's okay to send the data. So that data goes back, and it has your processor, it has your screen resolution, it has your login paths, a few other little tiny things. That goes into Ubuntu systems. So that goes into a database. All right, so now what happens is you're on some other user forum, and their little user forum has a little JavaScript code which gathers some information, which you should have blocked, but maybe you didn't know to block it. Maybe it was too new of a script. You didn't know how to do it. Now what happens is they pull that information. They say, well, this person is running Ubuntu. Let's hack Ubuntu servers and figure out when a computer with this all of the computers with this exact fingerprint got on there, and they can do that with access logs to figure out who installed what, when, and where, and then they know if you have a minimal install, they know if you're auto logging in, they know a lot of other things from that piece of information. They also, though, critically know what is the date that you installed the operating system, which will give them other information. Did you wipe your computer? Did you not? All this type of stuff is theoretically possible to access. That is what the danger is that you get information from one thing, you match it to a fingerprint on another. And that data all being collected together, that is what, does the word Planetar mean anything to you? That company operating in New Orleans? They collected a lot of data by grabbing tiny bits of data from a lot of different places and assembling all together into a giant profile. That's what we're talking about. Not a big deal for the average user, granted, but it's still an issue there. Quidsup is the man. All right, I agree, Kenny. Like Ubuntu, why not try Mint? It's more stable and polished. And true, Tom, your computer has a fingerprint too. It's easy to read. Yep, you can link your data. You can link your data to you. If yes, then you can link it to you. It's collected under your machine identifier. Yes, and that's particularly damaging on PopCon, because PopCon will actually tell Ubuntu with a unique computer identifier, unique to your computer, exactly which applications you're using in what order, and everything that's installed on your system. Dang, we've been talking about what is up with data collection, so I'm not going to repeat every bit of it now. Boycott Canonical, I think it would destroy them when a pure OS becomes a replacement. Yeah. Nobody knows my machine identifier. To link a bunch of useless data on Ubuntu servers to me, they need access to my PC. It's not the useless data you need to worry about. Well, you visit the wrong website and somebody wants to find it, I bet they can identify your unique machine identifier. It's actually it's in a raw text file on your computer. It's not exactly hard to get. Greeting, Blitz Leopard. How are you? Bad things happen slowly each time, such as today we collect this and tomorrow a little bit more. Yep, that's the thing. All right, let's go ahead and jump over to the next section, 5234. Oh, listen to this. This is their explanation why it is opt-out. This is from starting at 5234, so I'm just going to go ahead and play these extra 2 seconds. 5234 to 5240. Here is their explanation for why it is opt-out. Are you ready?
They have to have that information. The reason it was made automatic and opt-out is because most people dismiss the pop-ups and close it anyways.
That's it. We made it opt-out to collect the data for people who dismiss it. Translation: you don't use your screen, you don't read your screen, we get all your data. That's it. That's it. That's what they did. That was their goal, that was their plan, and that's what they did. So, kind of frightening. 5326 is next. 5326. Greetings, Last Call News. How are you? What they're doing now, it's what they can do later. Yes, especially since there's a lot of discussion going back and forth with Microsoft, you know, buying in more canonical. It starts to get a little scary. I'm not necessarily on that train, but yeah, and the point Mark Yates does computer business. The point of his Linux migration service are for those ticked off at Microsoft and have concerns about their privacy and security online. All you prove that the government sees your PC. It's not just the government, but still, that is still an issue, though. I knew all along Ashley Madison was useless. 3 in 10,000 women's profiles are real. Very few women will ever tell you by the spoken word. Yeah. Anything like that has to be opt-in. Greetings, World of Linux. How are you? So the reason to use opt-out. Yep. All right. 5326. All right. 26 to 54. I don't remember what this part is. Let's hear it.
Also kind of waste an opportunity to, interact with the developers, with the organizations in the community, right? I mean, Ubuntu, I think, has been very clear about what their purposes were. There was a long period of assessment before this feature got included. So you don't have to pretend it's some monolithic corporation. It's not Oracle we're talking about where you have to assume the worst. Why can't we have a good faith discussion about this? Maybe people don't like it for legitimate reasons. Let's not start it from a bunch of posturing videos that haven't bothered to have a conversation.
And
okay, so I remember that part. Okay, so they're saying that let's just let this all happen, and then let's not have videos about posturing about the conversation. Guys, this is my discussion. We have been talking about this stuff for a long time. And when Ubuntu started to collect this data, a lot of people were bothered by this. We've had the conversation gently at first and more aggressively when they didn't care. And this isn't a posturing video. It's not a clickbait video. It's not all this kind of stuff. What this is about is saying we need opt-in, not opt-out. We need more control. We need to not get on the data collection bandwagon, because once you start on that train, you're on it for the long haul. Oh, now you're using their word, the FUD, the fear, uncertainty, doubt. Okay, here's the problem. Mint does not collect any data. There is nothing to do with it down the road. Ubuntu does collect data, so there's something to do with it down the road. That's what the problem is. Smith said they would not do the data collection. Yep. Is Tux still available? I don't know. Linksman was strictly against data collection. They wouldn't do that. Ubuntu did before. Now they are. And that's the thing, is that we'll know if they want to start collecting data with Mint. I might jump ship. It's a risk that Mint can ask for your data in the future. See, this is the thing. This is the thing, though. Yes, Mint could ask for data in the future. But they're not collecting data right this second. Ubuntu is collecting data right this second. It's not a matter of are they going to start collecting data down the road. It's a matter of what can you do with the data down the road. That's the argument people are making. It's not that are they going to start collecting data down the road. It's they have the data now. Can they use that nefariously down the road? That's what the issue is. I was taking an A distro with Wireshark before the encryption phase. All right. It's 54. We're gonna so we're gonna jump ahead a few minutes. We're gonna jump ahead to 55:33. I want to go to 33. Let's do 31. All right. So this is where they actually start attacking Quidsups video. Okay, this is the attitude of these gentlemen is distasteful. Listen to this.
How benign this is. Wimpy, were you going to jump in with something there?
I was. There's a couple of issues I have with this particular video. The first is...
Okay, again, I'm going to note here that they're talking about this particular video. They're going to go ahead and attack the video. They're going to make a lot of false claims about the video, and they never tell you what the video is, so you cannot verify the sources. Based upon the context, the video is this one from Quidsup. It is entitled How to Disable Data Collection Services in Ubuntu 18.04. I encourage you to watch this video, watch this collection of the... Linux Unplugged, and then figure out what's going on. But listen to what he has to say about it. And listen to their attitude behind this as they're talking about this.
Everything about it is technically inaccurate. So it's got a wonderful clickbaity title, but the first thing it explains to do is remove the ubuntu-report package, which is actually the wrong package to remove because that isn't the package that the GNOME first run wizard interacts with. And you actually see this.
Wow.
You actually see this in the video, that he clicks no and it generates the opt-out report, and he sort of skips over it a little bit.
Okay, all right. There's so much wrong here. Okay, first and foremost, looking at Quidsups video, the reason he tells you to uninstall that, in fact, you know what? He commented earlier, Quidsup, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to play most of your video.
In this video, I'll be showing you how to disable the information gathering services in Ubuntu 18.04. So I've just installed a fresh version of Ubuntu in VirtualBox and been presented this welcome screen. So at this point, stop. Don't go any further. You need to open up a terminal and type in sudo apt purge ubuntu-report popularity contest. Type in your sudo password, and that'll remove the Ubuntu standard meta package, which is a bit annoying really, and perhaps a detriment into long-term usage of Ubuntu.
Okay, so we're going to stop right there because we're going to point out a few things. First and foremost, now he says a little bit later in the video, we can find it if we want to, but it is in there. Trust me, I watched this video a few times. He says in there that ye cannot find the package, despite it's open source software, he cannot find the package that is interacting with this. So what he's doing is he's removing ubuntu-report. This does not prevent the file from getting written that is sent to Ubuntu. It prevents the file from actually getting sent, and he demonstrates that. Okay, so that is what the guy, so technically the guy's technical argument is technically incorrect. Okay, not Quidsups, but the other gentleman that was talking, which I believe was one of the devs for Ubuntu Mate. So what he did here is ubuntu-report is the application responsible for grabbing the file that is generated by the pop-up screen, which Quidsup says he cannot identify, grabbing that file and sending it. Okay, so he says that the video just glossed over this. No, he didn't. He explained it in painful detail. The next thing that they're going to talk about here in the next clip we'll play is he says that, oh, removing Ubuntu standard is going to break the system. He just said that. Let me go back and play this again.
Detriment into long-term
Let me go back here.
package, which is a bit annoying really, and perhaps a detriment into long-term usage of Ubuntu.
Okay, so he says removing this package could be a detriment to long-term usage of Ubuntu. The reason is that Ubuntu standard package is one of the things that is used to determine what version you're on to establish your upgrade path. So if you plan to upgrade Ubuntu, you simply need to reinstall this. Well, maybe simply. I would probably just take my home folder and reinstall the next version. So let's go ahead and see if I can find that other spot here, because he's talking about how that could be a detriment. And then what he does is he gets to the end, and here's what he's going to do. Now, this is the part where he just said he demonstrates in the video, but he glossed over it. So here's this part.
Still send some information. So we're going to have to try for no, don't send the system info. Next, and that's it. We're done.
Okay, so he just clicked the button, which would ordinarily send a report to Ubuntu that says no data is being collected.
So we'll be most disappointed if this works.
Okay, so he just did the report to show what is the report that was generated. The command is not found. Note, this is the exact command
it doesn't
run.
Ubuntu.
That is the exact command that you run to send the report. Now, he's going to show here that the cache file, the report is still generated.
Well,
It's
yes,
just
the
not
cache is
sent.
still left behind, and something has modified it to stay.
Okay, so he says the cache is left behind, something is modified to say opt-out is true, but the data was never sent. That's what he did in his video. So these guys are saying it's completely technically incorrect. That's not even the one. Ha ha ha, he's so stupid, blah, blah, blah. That's exactly what they said, and that is not a fair assessment, because in reality, he explained in painful detail what he just did in the video. Now, of course, the reason they're not addressing the video is because that is too easy of analysis to make. A baby could make that analysis and point out they're wrong, but that is the exact video they're talking about in this. And if they're not, then please tell me what video you are actually referring to. That would be neat to know. So here's the next clip.
Suggesting that you remove Ubuntu report and popularity content because these are the things that collect data. That also removes the Ubuntu standard meta package, and what that does is breaks your upgrade path from 1804 to any subsequent version of Ubuntu. So if you follow the instructions in this video, one, it doesn't actually change the behavior of the first run wizard, and two, it breaks your ability to upgrade in the future.
Wow.
Great
That
news.
is
Just great.
That is damaging in a way that I hadn't even touched on before, is that a lot of times these videos are poorly researched and kind of thrown together because you need to capitalize on something while it's very popular.
Okay, he addressed that exactly at the beginning of the video. Watch it again. Quidsup addressed that very well at the beginning of the video, and Quidsup's video is very well researched. But of course, if you believe that their entire premise here is just to produce clickbaity videos, then you don't want to acknowledge that. A lot of comments over here. Let's go ahead and jump over to the comments stream real quick. Let's have a look at that. No, Ubuntu is still collecting data. Mint is not. That's the thing. Okay, here's a good thing about data collection is we get pruned list of Linux distros. There you go. Even opt-in, there's some that don't uncheck it at the ask bar. They don't even look at it in the installer. Is a tornado going to rip my house apart? Will I get struck by lightning? Don't worry about the future. Worry about the now. Okay, they can ask, we can tell them where to stick it and move to the distro that doesn't spy. Mint would be mad to start collecting data. It would lose a lot of the knowledgeable user base. Yep. And that's the thing, Lars. Yeah. I worry about my data, so I take active steps against it. A lot of rehashed arguments. So. Not like people collecting data on me, period, and I don't care about excuses and lies they use to make it. And can do this with the future is not the now. Why target canonical when they already show their level of data collection falls below anything we should worry about? I think I've already addressed some of these. Good discussion, though. I mean, I like the discussion. Collecting data about you, they are asking who you are. It's not relevant. No, Professor, we are talking about privacy. We're not talking about spreading fear, undecision, blah, blah, blah. We are talking about privacy. Every piece of data actively sent by you is a privacy issue. Yes, I agree. Question switch to Linux. Surely Top could tell you the name of the program that generates the report and file it. Wait, okay. Top could tell you the name of the program that generates... It could. I don't know. I don't know, honestly. Internet is out. Storm's here. Oh, boy. Be nice. Be nice to everybody. Please be nice to everybody. Everyone's welcome to state your opinions. Greetings, Case Looks. How's it going there? Nothing wrong with the data Ubuntu are collecting. They're serving massive variation of users and finding the right balance. But the thing is, Live or Die, is that they did this very well for a long, long time without it. Which Linux Unplugged is this from? PK, we are on Homegrown FUD from Linux Unplugged episode 249. I was gonna just end it there because it's just a bunch of beating down their oppositions. They're taking turns playing pinata with the scarecrow they beat up. But there was a couple more clips I wanted to play. Actually, yeah, I think there's just two more I wanted to play. And because I really like this clip because it was an interesting couple telling quotes. All right. So here's the first one.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up because I hadn't watched more than a few minutes into the video where I started to read the comments and I got really frustrated because two things. It plays on the paranoia of a technically savvy audience.
Okay, so number one, it's doing these types of videos like I'm doing here. Oh, my apologies, I wasn't on the Linux screen there. Doing this type of video, quote, plays on the fears of a technically savvy audience. Guys, if this is a technically savvy audience, maybe that's why there's so much dissension in this right now. Because in the technically savvy audience, the technically savvy audience is looking at this going, guys, this is crazy. Even looking at the comments in this video alone... The comments in this video alone, everyone is essentially saying, guys, you've lost your mind. Like this, like, do you want to allow us to collect data from you? No, proceeds to collect data from you. Lot of this. And so even in this video, there is a lot of discussion. And a lot of people agree with these points. There's some that don't, for sure, but there's a lot of people that do. So that's the number one, playing on the fears of the technically savvy audience. You're not going to play on the fears of the technically savvy audience. That's why a lot of people are raising legitimate concerns about this. So let's hear his number two reason. This is a fascinating one.
About metrics. And it builds perhaps momentum against future projects that might want to do something similar.
Okay, it builds momentum against future projects that might want to do things similar. Exactly what I'm trying to do here. That is precisely what I'm trying to do. I want to build momentum against future projects that are attempting to collect and harvest my data. Okay? I don't want my data collected. That's precisely what I'm trying to do. Y'all nailed it. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to raise awareness because the less things collecting our data, the better off we're going to be. Period. That's kind of my point. And listen to this next 15-second clip. This will be the last one. And just this guy misunderstands what data can be used and how it can be used. Listen to this.
I would argue that is a bad thing, because I would make an argument that these metrics are benign and that they are beneficial, and then they are much more beneficial than they are in any way benign in a sense that they could track you or that they would be identifiable.
Okay, and it was very benign to know which citizens in Nazi Germany actually owned firearms, and it really wasn't identifiable. It was just how many firearms are in the nation, and they came for the guns, and then they came for the corpses, and that's what happens. I'm not obviously not saying Ubuntu is going to go out and start doing that, but what I'm saying is that any amount of data collection is not inherently benign. It is inherently powerful. We are living in an age when data is the number one product being bought and sold. We have to stand firm, particularly in the Linux community, to stand back and slow down and say, I don't want to give this data. This should be exclusively opt-in. That's what I want to see. That's what, I mean, and again, you can listen to the rest of this. This goes on for another 10 minutes, and it's just, it kind of goes, I mean, it's crazy. It goes on another 10 minutes, whatever else. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. All right. And again, PK, if you missed it, this is Homegrown FUD, which is Linux Unplugged, episode 249. I will have a link to that below. Okay, let's start. Kubono, who benefits from all of this. The only thing possible you can do is look in bin, sbin, user bin. Okay, why support people who don't believe the philosophy of GNU Linux? It's 100% unacceptable. Linux Mint does not collect data and their systems work better than Ubuntu. Yep, and that's one of the arguments I made at the very beginning. Why is it that a lot of these distros are working very well and not collecting data? But all of a sudden, Ubuntu, who's done very well for themselves up to this point without data collection, now they want to collect data, and people are taking a stand against it, and all of a sudden, we're just clickbaiting things to get views and adware. Ad sales, or push adware, I don't know. Self can be removed as soon as it's generated, since Q was unable to see what it is. It's very possible. Yep. Assuming a one-time deal does not find you replaced, say, a video card, which sets it off again. Yeah. He's always be a gentleman online. It's like news anchors who've been caught swearing. Always treat cameras and microphones like they're always on in the medium. I'm a developer and I need that data. Okay. Let's talk about Live or Die. I think you might have came on a little bit later, so let me go ahead and address this again. You're a developer and you need that data. You understand? Sure, I do. I'm an activist and I need my data to be private. Do you understand? Which one is more important? Because if I have a problem with the software package you are developing, I can choose to give you information on an as-needed basis for you to help resolve it. But if I'm an activist and this data is just getting carte blanche passed off to databases so that developers can access it to see things, you are exposing possibly my life for your software. That's what we're talking about. You need to know where users are clicking. Figure it out another way. So what do you say to someone who's worried about this but uses Facebook? Don't go to Facebook. Get off Facebook. This does not let anyone take your guns. That collects hardware info. I need to ask anything when it's a website or a web app. Historically, most data collection was never used for the greater good. Yep. I collect data, and I've collected everything down to the OS and resolution of the country, even in the area the users are in. Glad I chose Mint over Ubuntu. This kind of thing is exactly why I left Windows. Yep. That's the thing. A lot of people do. Oh. Thank you. It's how a record on Ubuntu servers can be traced to an activist. I already explained that in detail. Greetings, T. How are you? I've got clients paying me for results. You're straight, you need to know. Well, like I said, there are ways you can collect that data without collecting information on somebody's system. All right, we're going to do a final call for comments on this one here. I will be streaming on my other channel tonight on Our Walk in Christ. You can go check out another live stream over there, and I'll be starting that in about 45 minutes. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up the right way. So go ahead and leave your final comments, and we will go ahead and feed this kitty. And I'm going to go ahead and put some of my show notes over there in the description here when I'm done. Oh, kitty. Oh, kitty. Oh boy. Wow. Oh. You're a lucky kitty. You got treats this morning too, didn't you? Hey, smile big for this camera right here. Yeah. There you go. Are they finger licking good today? Kitty, my thumb is not a kitty treat. Greetings, Pizza. We are just wrapping up, man. Yep, should be back up online there. I shouldn't be taking this one down. At least I don't think I will, so. All right, now what if Ubuntu changes management or ownership? That places one's data at risk. Do you think about Verizon gaining access to all the information when they bought Yahoo? Yep, and that's exactly what we're talking about. The fact of the matter is we need to have a system that is opt-in only, because you need to make sure that any data that you are collecting, you need to make sure that that data is, is from people who completely understand their consent. And if they have not given specific, explicit consent, you cannot have it. That is kind of the thing. I mentioned a quote about opt-in. Yes, the quote about opt-in, they said, quote, the reason it is opt-in is because people close the boxes without reading them. So that is their reason for having opt-in on their system. And that was, the place you will find that quote in the video is starting in minute 52:34. You will find that quote. Have I ever installed Gentoo? No, I don't have time for that. CJ might be the only collecting to his leader on Mars. Yeah. Giving it to the trolls. Well, there you go. Where's the other kitty? She was down here. Kitty. I don't know. She was down there a minute ago. She's camera shy. I'm going to download Ubuntu and whip in a VM session without networking and see what happens. Yeah, that's another thing you can do. You can you could go ahead and install it without an internet connection. You always do that. Cats are only interested in collecting edible data. Yep. Boycott Ubuntu. Everyone nip it in the bud now. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be actively running any future Ubuntu systems down the road. It's the thing is there's too many Linux distros out there. Why would I do one that has potentially questionable behavior? That's the thing. Does this include Mint as well? No, T, it does not include Mint as well. Mint has actively came out and said we are not participating in data collection. Sub shows what data is sent to Ubuntu is not lying. Yes, Quidsup did show that in his videos. It's up VM of Solace testing SAR. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Once again, it looks like about 40 minutes. I will be on the other channel. So you can check out that channel at youtube.com/rwalkinchrist. And I'll be streaming over there in about 40 minutes. I got to change my green screen configuration over there because it's I'm starting to become a little particle-y. Gotta readjust my lighting. All right, guys. Well, we will catch you guys later. Have a civil evening, everybody. We don't need any big old fights. It was a great discussion, and frankly, we had a lot more discussion here than they've had in a lot of other places. And I appreciate all of the feedback. That was good. Mint doesn't need to participate. They have Ubuntu's data. Well, they don't have access to all of Ubuntu's data. They have access to Ubuntu's repositories. All right, guys. We'll catch you later. Once again, if you'd like to help support the channel, you can check me out on Patreon, patreon.com/Tom M. Over there, I have a shop. You can pick up things like coffee cups. I have mouse pads, things like that. You can look at those at shop.switchtolinux.com. And I also have a basic support page. There will be some Amazon links in the description down below. I don't think they're there yet. But anyway, have yourselves a good evening, everybody. I hope you enjoy switching to Linux. And the kitty wants to say, bye-bye, everybody's.